You know that feeling when you scroll through endless listings of adult kick scooters, see the glossy photos, read the hype about lightweight aluminum frames and smooth cruising, and then end up with a ride that feels more like a wobbling treadmill than a convenient commuter? I've been there, and the disappointment hits hard when the scooter you thought would zip you to work turns into a clunky, noisy, and frankly frustrating piece of metal that never quite lives up to the promise. That's why I wanted to make a video that actually helps you separate the hype from the practical reality before you click add to cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The NANROBOT LS7 Plus is marketed as a fast-road, folding, waterproof scooter for adults with a 300-pound load capacity and dual hydraulic brakes. At first glance, the specs look solid for anyone who wants a scooter that can handle a commute, a quick grocery run, or a weekend park ride. But the real test is how those features translate into daily use, folding it in a cramped apartment hallway, riding it on wet pavement after a rainstorm, and stopping on a busy street without skidding. I spent a few weeks taking the LS7 Plus out for real-world trips, my daily 3-mile city commute, a Saturday ride through a local park, and a quick dash to the farmer's market on a rainy Saturday to see if it actually delivers on the promises. First, let's talk about the folding mechanism, because that's the part that decides whether a scooter can actually live in a small space. The LS7 Plus uses a 3-step fold: release the handlebar clamp, collapse the deck, then lock the stem into place. In practice, the steps are intuitive enough that you can do them while holding a coffee cup, but you do have to line up the locking pin precisely, or the scooter won't stay folded. Once it's locked, the whole package shrinks to about the size of a medium suitcase, which is a genuine win if you're storing it under a desk or loading it into a car trunk. The downside is that the locking mechanism feels a little loose after a few folds, so you have to double-check that it's fully engaged before you lift it. If you're the type who folds and unfolds dozens of times a day, that extra mental step could become annoying. Water resistance is another claim that gets a lot of attention. The LS7 Plus is advertised as waterproof, and during a rainy afternoon I rode it through a light drizzle and even splashed through a puddle that was at least an inch deep. The deck didn't absorb water, and the grip stayed solid, which is a relief because many scooters become slippery when wet. However, the bearings are not sealed, so after a few rides in the rain I could feel a subtle increase in drag. It's not enough to ruin the ride, but if you're planning to use this scooter as your primary commuter in a climate with frequent heavy rain, you might want to give the wheels a quick dry wipe after each trip to keep the rolling resistance low. Now, the LS7 Plus really tries to set itself apart with dual hydraulic brakes. Most adult scooters rely on mechanical disc brakes, which can feel grabby and require frequent adjustment. Hydraulic brakes, in theory, give smoother modulation, and on the LS7 Plus they do. When I decelerated from a brisk 15 miles per hour on a city bike lane, the brakes responded with a gentle, progressive feel that let me stop without the usual jitter. In stop-and-go traffic, the hydraulic system kept its bite even after repeated use, which is a practical advantage over cheaper models that start to chatter after a handful of stops. One practical drawback is that the brake levers sit a little higher than on a typical scooter, so if you're used to a low-profile grip, it takes a short adjustment period. Also, because hydraulic fluid can leak over time, the manufacturer offers a 3-year guarantee on brake components, but you'll still want to keep an eye on any sudden loss of pressure. Comfort is often glossed over in scooter reviews, but the LS7 Plus actually gives you a choice between standing and seated riding. The deck is wide enough for a stable stance, and there's a padded seat that folds down if you prefer to rest your legs on longer trips. I tried the seated mode on a 10-minute stretch along a park trail, and the cushion was enough to keep my backside from getting sore, though the seat is fairly low, so you're still close to the ground. If you're looking for a scooter you can use for short commuter hops and occasional longer rides without switching to a bike, that flexibility is a real plus. On the flip side, the seat adds a bit of weight, about 2 kg, so the scooter feels slightly heavier when you're carrying it upstairs. For someone who lives on the 3rd floor and has to haul the scooter up a narrow stairwell, that extra weight might be a consideration. The load capacity of 300 pounds is a number that many manufacturers tout, but what